morning. We'll call the November 5th, 2025 DRC meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Community Development's present. Police.
Andrew King.
Public Works.
Dale Smith.
Fire.
Jeremy Holderfield.
Building.
John Hanson.
All right, we have one special event this morning. Lexi from Recreation is here. It's T-Dogs Big Dreams Charity Incorporated.
So this event is an R&B Southern Soul Picnic Fest. It's a celebration/festival with DJs, R&B music, and karaoke. It'll be at the Apopka Amphitheater on Saturday, January 17th, 2026, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. There'll be about 2,000 people. They are planning to hire a private security company, but they have not told us which company that is yet. They will also be hiring off-duty. There will be alcohol. Their setup includes 10 by 10 tents, food trucks, stage production, and vendors, and parking will be on Barbecue Row and the surrounding complex parking areas, and we'll have our parking company assisting with parking those cars. Setup will begin the day before on January 16th at 9 a.m., and they will be utilizing 2 to 3 entry gates to get patrons in depending on their attendance.
Any questions in regards to this? All right, Community Development has nothing further. Police.
No comments.
Public Works.
No comments.
Fire.
No comments. Thank you.
And Building.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lexi.
Thank you.
Next item is the Ridgebrook Plat. First submittal, Amir is the project manager.
Good morning, everyone. So this is a plat for the Ridgebrook subdivision, which is north of Leicester and west of Plymouth Sorrento. The plat consists of 86 lots, all single-family homes. Zoning is RSF 1B. Future land use is residential, low suburban. Seems like the applicant is not in attendance today.
It does not appear the applicant is in attendance. And I'll just add that this is a plat. And it is the major development plan was approved by the city council, I believe, back in the summer on this, and it's plat. New platting laws only requires an administrative level approval. Community development has nothing further. Police.
No comments.
Public Works.
Yeah, I posted my comments about some easements and some of the language on the plat.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Fire.
No comments. Thank you.
And Building.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir.
Yep.
All right. I was wondering why you're standing there.
Yeah.
The next one on the agenda.
I looked at the agenda. I'm like, the next one's mine too.
I should have just made it awkward and just let you stand there, right? All right. Cold Lake Logistics.
All right, so this is a major development plan for submittal for the Cold Link Logistics, it's a new 147,624 square feet building to an existing. It's to the existing Cold Link Logistics sites. They're adding an additional building. And zoning is light industrial, future land use is industrial. Applicant is in attendance along with staff with further comments or questions.
All right. And the applicant is here. If you wouldn't mind coming and addressing the DRC. I know you received comments. If you'd like to discuss those, now is your opportunity.
Josh Enot, Kinley Horn, 200 South Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida. So we did receive the comments from engineering, planning, and fire. There are a few things we'd like to discuss on those, mainly to get clarification and kind of talk through a few of them. First, I guess we'll start with the engineering. So a couple of these all kind of tie together when it comes to Mayflower Drive. On Mayflower, one of the big things is adding curb and gutter, extend the storm system all the way down to Lakeview Drive, which would be down to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen here. And then also separate the stormwater system. So Mayflower, currently, there's about 16 feet of fall across that. So in order to bring all that on site, it's not possible because the Lakeview Drive is about 10 feet below our bottom of pond. So there's no way to really do that without running into the water table.
Okay, if you can't bring it back to your pond,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I understand that, but you're still going to have to catch the water before it goes out onto Lakeview Drive. So how are you going to catch it, treat it, and then I guess put it across the street?
Right. So currently, what we're doing is we're trying to match existing conditions. So currently, there's no curb and gutter on it. So what we're doing is we're extending the shoulder and then creating some swales to capture that, and then use some check dams along the way to capture some of that treatment volume before it gets to Lakeview Drive. So we won't be able to capture and store all of the runoff, but pre versus post will be less because we're putting these in swales with those check dams.
But we do want curb and gutter out there mainly to keep people from parking all over the right of way like they do now.
Okay.
So maybe we can look at some other ways of capturing that water.
Okay. So then, with the limited amount of space, if we do curb and gutter, would you guys be open to flumes into swales?
We can talk about that.
Okay. Okay. So we can,
I don't think we need to design it here.
yeah, we can set up a meeting and
Okay.
discuss that. Perfect.
And then then the two inlets that you've got there,
Mm-hmm.
I really don't, because we're going to have an easement over that and into the pond because it is, it's public water. And the reason why I want a separate system is because you've got a 48-inch pipe going into the pond, and
Right.
I don't want to have to be responsible for
For
maintaining
maintaining.
a 48-inch pipe.
Gotcha. So would it be okay if if we separate it have a separate inflow into our pond and you just maintain that 24-inch or whatever that would go?
Going into
Okay.
the pond, correct.
Okay, so we don't need a separate pond or anything
No,
like that.
you don't need a separate because you'll give us an easement into the pond.
Right.
You'll still maintain it. We'll have access and we'll have emergency rights over that pond, which 16 feet of fall, I don't think anything will be flooding up at the top of the hill.
Right. Exactly. Okay, perfect. So I think that covers.
As far as while we're on the Mayflower subject,
Yes.
I know we might have discussed this in the past. I got to refresh my memory on it. I apologize if we've talked about it, but my concerns are always the stacking of your trucks coming in there. It's a big problem that we've had in the past. I received multiple calls regarding it. I mean, the residents there on the other side of Mayflower where trucks are parking are listening to trucks pull up early in the morning while they're sleeping and everything else and stacking outside of your Mayflower Road area. What are your goals and plans to correct that?
So currently what we're doing is the Mayflower Drive's only 18 feet wide, so we're changing that to be 34 feet to allow a wider area to kind of allow stacking not to necessarily occur along Mayflower. But your concerns are more for the noise. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, it's noise. It's trucks stacking outside there. It's people coming out of their house and seeing road trucks parked in front of their houses across the street from Mayflower, trying to getting up in the morning and having semis parked up in front of their house. I don't think I'd be a big fan of that either.
No.
It's just not working. And if you're going to stack them, my concerns also is how are we getting fire equipment in there? Is there going to be access for us to get in there? Because as it is right now, if we have a fire in there, we're dealing with stacking of trucks, and the timing of it, it might be bad, but I mean, if we have trucks stacking up, blocking a roadway we can't make access to, could you imagine us trying to get semis out of the way for fire to get in?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
It's something that we have to address.
Do we need no parking signs on Lakeview?
I would probably wouldn't hurt. That's what I'm thinking.
Would you rather what? Sorry.
No parking signs. I've asked you to put no parking signs on Mayflower.
They might have them now. I'm not sure. I'd have to go out and visit, but
That it becomes an enforcement issue, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess operation. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Go ahead. Jackson Gerhovac, I'm with Tippman Construction in partnership with Cold Link. I think it's also important to note the additional staging that we're adding into the project, as you can see on the south side of the page here, kind of by the fire tank, and then also the south side of that car parking lot, that during peak hours will allow the trucks to get in through the gate and actually stage on site.
so you guys essentially are going to correct your gate issue where they line up at the gate and can't get through. Because that's, to me, this is just an outsider's view.
Yep.
My view is that they line up at the gate and can't get past that point until they're checked in, and that's what's becoming an issue.
Yes, Captain, that's correct. So the plan is that now by winding Lakeview, we can have up to 6 trucks staged there before they go all the way out to where any property would see them. And then we're going to have a system to where they can check in, come inside the property and stage. So we should never have a line back up there. I mean, there's going to be maybe a case here and there, but ideally that's going to be accessible for more trucks or for case of an emergency or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So well, yeah, we'll take that into account for the Mayflower. Next question. All the rest are very straightforward. One of the other ones on here though that can extend like a resubmittal was the basically asking. It's almost like you're asking for like a lift station report on this um, for the lift station. Currently, we don't have any tie-in pressures for the force main that we want to tie into.
You can request them,
Correct.
and
Yes.
there's a process for doing that.
Yes. Yeah. And so we'll request those. With this being an MDP, we want to basically move this along as quickly as possible. So that's why we provided a ton of detail up front. But would we be able to kind of defer that to the CSP process while we're requesting those now and going through that process?
That'll be fine.
All right. Perfect. Okay. So I think engineering wise, that covers what we needed to, or areas that we had questions on. Next,
Well, may I ask, did you
yes.
see how I'm limiting your discharge out of the site?
So
It's number 7.
the proposed spreader swale. So
Yeah. In other words, you've got a 700-foot long path that your pre-development discharge is going into.
Correct.
We've been getting a lot of complaints about these spreader swales because they actually become point discharges. And when you get a point discharge, you lose your right to discharge onto the downstream property.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is you take that, I think it's 94 CFS, you divide it by, the 700,
Mhm.
and then you take the width of your spreader swale, and that's the most I'm going to allow you to come out of it at that point. So you either need to extend that spreader swale quite a bit more, or maybe we need to talk about total retention.
And so you're talking about the width of the. It's kind of like on the plan east-west, that width.
Yeah, I'm talking. It's the north-south. In other words, I measured, from 441,
Yeah. Okay.
down to the street, and that's a little over 700 feet.
Correct.
And you take that 700 feet, and you take your 94 CFS, and it'll give you a discharge per foot. Your
Correct.
swale is, I think, 120. So you
Yes.
get that number times 120, and that's the most you're going to be able to discharge and pretend that you still have sheet flow onto their property.
Okay. Yeah. Understood. And
Okay.
then with that too, we're also going to be providing like a curb for that level spreader along that whole length
Right.
to keep that point discharge from happening. But yes, we can extend that. We definitely have the space to do that, and we can show that calculation.
Okay.
Was there any other comments that you wanted to clarify, or additional comments?
That's the major thing.
Okay, and then we'll set up a separate call to go over Mayflower and talk through how we're going to handle the drainage, the curb and gutter, all of that. Next, I'd like to move over to the planning comments. So just going down the list to the ones that we have questions on. Number 8, the Shepherd Avenue. There is essentially a question: is Shepherd Avenue right away being improved with Mayflower Avenue? But I believe Shepherd Avenue was vacated a while back, and so currently we're not seeking to improve Shepherd Avenue. That's where we're putting the spreader swale, and we have our drive-in for the employees on this site. It is to avoid like an additional comment. Is there, when we say no, we're not going to improve it, which Shepherd Avenue would be this vacated right away here, or are you talking about the extension of the force main?
No, it was just what was shown on the plan. So
Okay.
I just wanted to, I couldn't tell if you were improving it along the Mayflower or not, but just wanted to confirm that if you are or not.
Okay, and so if we're saying no, there's not going to be like an additional comment.
No.
Okay.
It was just because you say you were going to do Mayflower, I couldn't tell if you were just doing both Shepherd and Mayflower or just Mayflower as you stated.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Next one, it was second entrance to the development. So currently there's two entrances off of Mayflower for this portion of the site. One here for the employees, and then one here for the trucks. And then additionally on the wider view, there's this property extends much further north. There's another entrance that fire or trucks could come through off of 441.
Okay, yeah, I could not tell if that was because here it looked like there was no connection to the rest of the site. So
So-
that's why I thought it was.
Yeah, there isn't one here. Is that the require for this to count? This would need to be connected.
You would need to connect it to the rest of the site.
Okay. And
Otherwise,
So
we
the-
couldn't consider that as a site.
The access on 441 you're speaking of, as of right now, is it just fence chain locks? How it is?
I believe it has a gate currently. Is that on the north side next to the office?
Yes, there's a gate currently.
All right. I will ask for upgrades to where we can have access to get in there. Is it? And we can
Like-
discuss that offline, however you want to go about it. But my gate requirements are going to be the same at either or
So update.
access points, which I think I put in there. We're looking for like a click to enter type access
Yep.
point to where we can make access.
Click to enter. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And then so, if we upgrade this, or we're adding this gate, upgrading this, upgrading the one over here, do we still need this connection here?
I mean, is it gonna connect to the rest of the site or all of the site?
This one, no, but this one goes all the way through and then
No, I
up.
mean, is the 441 entrance gonna connect to the rest of the site?
Yes. Would you be able to scroll? Can I scroll? Just go up 2 sheets. Or one more. So here, I guess we don't have like the building shown, but there's an entrance here that connects through here. There's a drive that goes all the way up.
Yeah, you would have to show that it connects to that.
Okay.
That way we have it on the plan that, okay, you have to access. Either you connect this to the rest of the site, or you'd have to show that entrance connecting to the proposed expansion.
Perfect. Here, and then this one, the next, or I guess I skipped over one, was the loading berths. So if we could go back to the other sheet. Loading berths at least 15 feet wide. Oh, one more down, sorry. And for these, you're essentially talking about the dock doors here.
Mm-hmm, the loading area.
Okay. And is that mainly for striping? It needs to be 15 foot wide, or do the doors need to be 15 feet on center?
From what the code stated, let's see. The loading area, like the areas of where the trucks are being parked.
Okay. So, yeah.
So for that one, right now, we do stripe narrower. That's more of a to direct the truck in, so they're not off-centered on the actual door itself. But our center to center currently is on average 14'6", and that's pretty industry standard as far as what we build, for Cold Link themselves and everybody else. Our concern is if we go to 15 foot, which would basically be a 15-foot center on those doors, we are adding, upwards of 15 foot to this building by some 300 foot long. It's a major cost when industry standard from, everything we typically build is in that 14.5 foot range.
I understand, but if the code states that it needs to be minimum 15, each of them, it has to be 15 because it's stated in the code.
Is there a variance that we can apply for?
You
for
have to
this?
provide hardship that you can't meet the 15 feet. If you can meet the 15 feet, then there's no way we could have a variance. You'd have to provide hardship.
Yeah, I think this is the first project we've had where somebody has stated they can't meet it. Usually people can meet the 15 feet. Sounds like you only got 6 inches differential.
Yeah, it's at 6 inches, but it's 22 doors on it.
And let us take a look at the code. Mira and I will look at it and see what's in there also, and we'll get back with you.
Okay, thank you.
And then the next one was the last comment on the environmental site assessment. I know we had completed it for the two properties that are being added to this property, or the phase one environmental assessment for wanting to include the entirety of this whole property. Is that for the entire property or just the area of disturbance? I mean, it's currently operating as industrial. It's going to be industrial.
It would be any part of the property where your site plan is included for. So anywhere you're constructing. So I can tell like the building itself takes over those two properties that were annexed and
Correct.
But then you're also including parking into the existing parcel. So that parcel is like all one. So you're gonna have to include that entire Coleman Logistics.
Okay,
site.
and so do we need to include all of these existing buildings?
Yeah, because they're all in
On
one
the-
parcel.
Okay, not just the limits of disturbance, or
No,
not just.
It would have to be all because they're all in one parcel.
Okay.
If separate parcels, then no. But because they're all in one parcel, you would have to include.
Okay. And then last question, which I think is more of the absence of a comments, but we did provide a TIA for this site that included offsites improvements for Mayflower and then offsite improvements for 441. Those are what's required by the TIA, but we want to make sure that we're, I guess, all on the same page because this was a big comment that came up at Planning Board, City Council during the annexation process. Are there any additional offsites that are going to be required of us? Was there any comments on the TIA? We really want to make sure we iron this out prior to moving forward. Make sure we have staff support when we're going to Planning Board and City Council.
Hey, Bill, would you like to address that?
Just going over TIA now, I don't have any comments yet.
Okay, so would we be able to follow up at a certain time? When do you think you'd be able to have comments?
Hopefully by the end of the week.
End of the week?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Yes.
In reference to the green building code comment, we were kind of flipping through that, and out of curiosity, there was, I think it's number 5, kind of listed under that section there. It was if the expansion is less than 50% of existing, you are exempt from it. Is that true?
I'd have to take a look in the code and see it, but again, I'll get back to you.
Okay.
How large is the expansion?
140,000.
How large is the existing building? 500,000. Okay, all right. We'll look into it. And, yeah, absolutely. But it's good to know those figures. All right. You guys have anything else?
Covered everything on my list.
Yeah, I think that we're covered on it. So
Okay.
thank you.
Questions for the applicant? Any additional questions?
You are addressing the fire comments with the auto turn and things I have put on there. Okay, cool.
Just
Yeah, for the auto turn and the comments that you provided on the online portal, yes,
Okay,
we'll be
thank
addressing those.
All right, thank you.
All right. Community development has nothing further. We got a couple items to check on. Get back to you. Police, anything else?
No comments.
Public Works.
No additional
All right.
comments.
Fire.
No comments, thank you.
Building.
I don't have anything. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item, item number 2, the MDP for the Floridian Town Center Hotel. The applicants requested this item be continued to the November 19th meeting. They had some internal issues they wanted to look at. The next item is the Ridge PD Parcel 6C revision construction site plan for.
Good morning. This is the revision to the CSB for the Ridge 6C. The main instigator of this really is because, as you all know, we have a half interchange ramp coming onto Boy Scout and Binion Road. And so we had to make, the Ridge had to make some changes to their turn lanes and some improvements on the Boy Scout right of way. There are also a lot of utility revisions that they're proposing on here. I didn't get any comments from DRC. Dale, did you have any comments on this?
They were posted after you closed it.
Okay, I will reissue them. And I don't know if George, oh, there you are. So George, I will reissue these comments Dale had. You probably have seen it on the portal and by the COB today.
Yes, so this George VHB 225 East Robinson Street, Orlando. Um, we received the common letter. We didn't really see anything on Public Works. We saw that modifications been reviewed and accepted. So
Yeah, we accepted. That's the only comment that I had.
I like that comment.
I-
Okay, yeah,
Well, actually, I had looked through all of it. I know y'all had wanted to start on the fire lines early, and I had sent something actually directly on Friday for that.
absolutely, because they're eager to start going vertical. Otherwise, it would come to a halt on their construction. So they need their fire hydrants to be live before they can do that. Just
And-
kind of looking at
And
the
your
end of the
on-site
month.
contractor didn't realize he had a permit to do the work that he was doing, and it was approved back in February.
Lovely. Well, it's a good surprise.
So we got that.
You don't
straightened
get
out.
many of those.
We got that straightened out also.
Awesome. Perfect. I didn't see any comments on from any departments. I don't know if there's any additional ones.
Do you want any? Do you want comments?
No, no, absolutely not. I'll,
We'll make something up.
You want a good surprise?
I'll get out of here before you guys do.
That's always a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions or comments? Any surprises? All right. Community development has nothing further. Police,
Nothing further.
public works,
Nothing further.
fire,
No comments, thank you.
building.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
All right. Any items for discussion? We're adjourned.